So what I advised you to do was to have a new if and check whether is key pressed is true. About the key with the code, well, let's see the code of space. Well, 32. Apparently 32 is the code of space, and I will go back to this strange window because pretty soon I will talk about it. So if the 32nd key is pressed, we can place the bullet, for example, where the player is. So we can take the value of my x and place the bullet there, and my bullet y could be also the same. I hope it's pretty obvious that the bullet should start from the player's position. Actually, it's not exactly the player's position. We will see that the bullet is strangely placed according to the player, and we can easily change this, but for now this starting position is good enough. I will draw such a bullet, and I want to draw it in a new cover, different from the player's cover. When we have an enemy, it can be even in a third cover. So I can draw the bullet, for example, in a red cover, and I keep the player to be, for example, blue. So let's see how our game is looking. I can move to the right, and apparently with too big speed. I will move just a little bit to the right, and now I'm going to start firing, and you can see my bullet standing nicely where I am. I will move a little bit to the right, and my bullet stays where it was. If I was more careful, I would have written something to move my bullet downwards where the enemy should come from, but I can also just press space again, and this will teleport my bullet to where I am. I can also hold space and move with the bullet. This is kind of strange functionality. I hope you are not very sad that for now our player will have just one bullet flying towards the enemies, and if the player decides to fire again, he will have new bullet where he is, but the old bullet will immediately disappear. For now we will remember just the position for one bullet, and we will not be able to remember a lot of bullets positions, and that's okay. There were already games before 30 or 40 years ago where there was such a small limit of bullets, and the player just had to be careful to fire only when he will hit an enemy. So that's okay. What I don't like is that if I move slower, and even if the bullet is moving by itself, how to move the bullet? Well, which of his coordinates should I change? Well, if the enemies are coming from downward direction, and if I want my bullet to go there to hit them, I will need to increase its downness, so bullet Y is going to be a little bit bigger than its previous version. So let's see how my bullets are behaving now. Do you like this? Well, I told you that there is going to be something different if I hold the fire key, and you can see that now I can drag my bullet with myself, which is kind of strange. If we knew how to make not one bullet but a lot of bullets, and the old bullets weren't dying immediately when the new bullet is born. So if we can have a lot of bullets, we can see them nicely going down and new bullets appear again and again and again. And that's why I'm going to show you a video from a really epic and old game that I'll be really happy if you try it in your spare time, but I'm scared that you are not going to try it in your spare time but in your homework time, so better don't try it. So it's an epic game in which we can have simple rockets or simple bullets which we fire one by one when we release a key, or we can have a gun like this one. This is the plasma gun, and you can see that I can just hold the key and yeah, make a key down and wait a lot of time and hold the key for a lot of time to fire a long time. I can do this with the plasma gun, or I can do it with also with the chain gun. You will see me now, you will see in the video how the chain gun is firing. So you can see that the chain gun is not doing shots one by one like a gun or a shotgun, and you can see that the shotgun is doing specific firings in specific moments. So you have to make a decision as a game creator. Do you want the gun in your game to be fired continuously, because that's what we are doing, or if you want your gun to be fired on special occasions, for example when the key for it is released. My advice is, since we cannot make an array of bullets for now, we better use key up, because key up will be executed only once for each firing, regardless of the time that the player is holding the key. When he releases the key, he will have one shot, and I think this is much better. So I'm going to take this code and place it here. Of course I need to change something. I will not check is key pressed now. When I'm writing a code in keyup for a specific key, what I should check is this special variable key. Is it equal to 32? So is the key released equal to 32? I've done it not in the best way, because on the left hand side was the variable, and if I'm not careful I can try to run the game with even a single equal sign. And now when my code have only one equal sign in the if, I can fire with space, but also I can fire with any other key released, because here I am not actually checking if key is equal to 32. Instead, I'm making this special variable equal to 32, and then it doesn't matter which is the key actually released. So in order to not be able to make such mistakes, I advise you write 32 in the left hand side of the equals sign, and if you leave only one equal sign, you will have nice red error messages then that don't let you think that your game is kind of fine. You now have to see this line 23 and have to fix it. So what about now? Let's see what is going on now. Now I still can move to the right, and I can hold right for a long time, and I can do right movement continuously by holding the right arrow key. But instead, if I press any other key, I'm not firing. And if I press the space bar like I'm doing now, I'm not firing. I have to wait to release the space bar like I'm going to do just now, and I can see my bullet going down. If I release the space bar again, I can see the bullet restarting. So this is the best behavior that I could have achieved for a gun like the shotgun. And for a gun like the rocket launcher. In the previous video, the player was really using a rocket launcher a lot. Just like here. You can see a specific rockets being fired from time to time. And this is exactly the time when he releases the key. And when I need a plasma gun or a chain gun, I will have the behavior for a continuous action, just like here in if is key pressed. Now that I have all of this, now that I'm happy with my bullets behavior, I will give you a new task that doesn't have any new programming knowledge. We learned a lot of stuff today. I hope you are happy with your new programming knowledge and you're eager to make just an action game with everything you already knew. Please create an enemy, draw it in a new color, not red or blue, and check for collisions. This is something that we learned 3 or 4 lessons ago, or perhaps 2 lessons ago, I don't know. Make collision checks for collision between, actually we need to check for collisions not only between the enemy and the player, but also between the player bullet and the enemy. So create an enemy coming up from the bottom of the playing field, and if the player is shot by the player's bullet, we can kill the enemy and give score to the player. Instead, if the enemy successfully avoids the bullets of the player and hits the player, we can take lives from the player. Our game will surprisingly get much bigger in our next video, but my advice is try to not watch my video. I've showed you all the difficult new parts about the movement of the player and the firing of the player, and I think that you have all the old knowledge to make enemies and make the game real from violence. Come on.